Welcome, and thank you so much for taking time to join us today. I know it's been a long day for many of you, and so we're going to do our best to keep this to our 30 minutes. My name is Brian Munar, and I'm the president and CEO here at Discovery World. And our program today is focused all on education, and this afternoon, it's all about you. Now, especially what we here at Discovery World can do for you and your students. Now, taking a look today, we want to explore topics like field trip opportunities and school programming that can be included with that, as well as a sneak peek into some of our lab spaces where our spectacular education staff bring education to life every day. Now, as an educator, I know I was always looking for resources I could bring into the classroom and ways that I could extend the experience for all of the students that I was working with. And so I'm really excited today to be able to share some of the kinds of things that we have available for you here at Discovery World. Now, throughout our program, I just want to remind you that we're going to be opening up for question and answers. And so feel free to be submitting any questions throughout the program, and we will make sure that we field those and do our best to provide any valuable answers to the questions that you might have. Now, today I'm going to be joined by Paul Meck, who is our Director of Education. And he is in one of our lab spaces right now, and he's ready to take you on a short tour.
Welcome to the labs here at Discovery World. You may have been in our exhibits, you've probably been to the aquarium, but you might not have come into our learning spaces. At Discovery World, we have 10 rooms that are dedicated to lab programming. All different types of programs, each one with a little bit of its own specialty. And I wanted to show you some of them today because they also exist behind the exhibits. So you might not even know they are here. In fact, a good chunk of this exhibit floor on the second floor of our technology building is dedicated to our learning lab areas. Like this one, this is the STEM lab. And here, based on the name, we focus on things that have to do with STEM. So we have lots of skulls because we talk about anatomy and the math of the human body. We can do chemistry. We can talk about animals. We can do simple machines. All of it can happen here in the STEM lab. What I'd like to do is take you with me on a tour through a few more of our spaces, especially ones that you can't see by just looking through the door. Through. We're going into right now, this is the Coles Design It Lab. This is a space that a lot of people are familiar with here at Discovery World because on the weekends we're open for the public to come in and do a rotating series of projects. What a lot of people don't realize is that during the week we are closed to the public because we're open for teachers to bring their students in to do activities. It could be designing bridges in physics of architecture, or assembling a cardboard guitar and decorating it in Design 101. Lots of different opportunities exist here in the Coles Design It Lab. If you are interested in this or in any of the spaces that we're looking at, you can contact our reservations department. We'll have more info on that later, and they will be able to assist you and let you know what's still available this school year or even looking at the next one. Let's say you're working on a project. It's missing something. You can't fix it with coloring. Maybe you need to add something. We could maintain a bucket wall here full of upcycled materials that come from staff and others that we know. Things like egg cartons and paper towel tubes, chunks of foam from our exhibits downstairs that are going to be thrown away. We allow people to use that to embellish and to create something brand new. And over here are some examples of things made out of what others might throw away. Creativity can let you do some amazing things. That's part of what we do here in the Design Lab. It's only two of our spaces though. I'd like to take you into a third one of my favorites, which is the Automation Lab. And this is a space that has been around for a while, but our big thing we do in here, circuitry and robots. We know that a lot of schools are able to work with robots, but what we have are a lot of them. So we have a cabinet here full of robots because we want students that come in to have an opportunity to work with only 2 or 3 people in a group at a time. And there's a lot of robots missing from there because they're all over the room. And it looks like you're running a robot class in here today. And Megan, I think you were running it. What did you have the robots do?
Yeah, we actually had the students program robots to drive through this maze that looks a lot easier than it actually is.
And did most of them know how to do it before they came?
No, none of them have really had any prior experience with programming or coding or anything.
No prior experience with coding, but we got robots through the maze by the end.
No, yeah, absolutely.
All right, and this was a 90-minute program, right?
Yeah.
Most of our programs are in the 30 to 60-minute range. This one, so that we can give the extra time, that's 90 minutes. And one that you can book here. Thank you. I'll let you get back to getting all the robots ready for the next time. All right, moving into our fourth lab. This is the Spark Lab. And this is a general purpose lab. This is the one that we can turn into anything we need. If we need extra space to do the programming that Megan was just talking about next door, this is where we can do it as an overflow. If we need to do a dissection, we can do that in here as well. We need to do work on circuits, no problem. We want to do some extra design work, and the Coles Design Lab's already booked. Sure, we'll do it in here. Alicia is doing some prep for tomorrow. And what are you prepping for?
I am prepping for a class on light and energy.
Light and energy. See lasers and fiber optics and tuning forks and all sorts of things in here. That's part of what we work on here. That's fine. All right, we'll let you get back to that now. We're moving into our fifth space. This is a large room. This is the Curiosity Works Lab. And in the Curiosity Works Lab, we can also do robotic stuff if we need to. We can do stuff with simple machines. But its main function, if you kind of look around the space, is printing. So this is a spot where we bring in groups and we let them do screen printing on posters or t-shirts, understanding how the images wind up on the things they buy or the things they hang up in their rooms. They get a chance to make it by themselves here and have a unique product that's theirs based on how they wanted to put the designs down. That's one of the things that happens in this room. This is only 5 of the spaces. I said there were 10. There's a lot more projects that we can talk about in programs as well, but I don't want to talk about it in this room. I'm going to head back to the first room we were in, and we'll talk a little bit more about what Discovery World can offer to your students.
So welcome back, and Paul's going to be joining me here momentarily. But as we're waiting for Paul to come back, I want to give you a little bit of background about Paul. He's been with Discovery World since October of 2006, and he's had many different roles on our education team. And he brings such a diverse education background that helps him look at all of the kinds of topics we explore here in many different ways. And so here comes Paul, and good to see you.
Good to see you. Starting to get a lot of breath.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi. Should I go? You want to talk to me more, or are we okay?
I think we're good. I'm going to hand it over to you to get us started.
Absolutely. So I'm glad you could join me on that tour through 5 of our spaces. As I said, there were 10. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about really quickly at the beginning here was a little bit about, you were talking about who I am as I was coming in. There's an important thing about Discovery World and our education team, and one of that is that for the most part, we all found our way into informal education. Some of us were in the classroom and chose to leave, and some of us were engineers who now teach robotics here, or were biologists at the college level who now come and teach dissections for school groups, trying to figure out a new way to do the learning that happens in school, but give it a little bit of a twist. I mean, our goal here is never to replace what's happening in a school or in a classroom, but always just to be that counterpart for all the teachers.
Yeah, well, we have a great team, and they do a lot. They're very dedicated to supporting our students.
We are, and one of the ways we do that is through all of our programs. So right now, this year, we're offering 23 different experiences. And those can be exhibit tours all the way up to 90-minute long programs. Majority, as you heard when I was walking through one of the other labs, the majority of our programs are in that 30 to 60-minute range. But we have topics from dissections to design, and cells to circuits, and robots to reactions, which is actually a great thing for what I want to do right now. I thought it would be fun, Brian, since you haven't been in the classroom for a while, to get you back into doing one of the things that we do with students here, which is part of our intro to chemistry. Chemistry is one of those topics that I think really scares a lot of educators. A lot of adults I know have these traumatic flashbacks to high school chemistry and the equations and all of that. We want to start with elementary students, showing them that chemistry is not a scary thing to do. So I'm gonna put on some safety equipment here, and I have some for you.
We're gonna do the same. Safety first, anytime we're doing science, right?
Absolutely, even if you know that what you're doing is completely safe, for just reinforcing with your students, it's always a great idea to don your protective equipment. All right, so this, as I said, is part of what we do in one of our classes, and these are our reaction bags. So I have 4 bags, and each one has exactly 1 teaspoon of a white powder in there. And we're going to find out what happens. Each one reacts differently when water is added to it. So if you could, we're going to measure out 50 milliliters, 50 milliliters of water, and I will get bags all set here for you. You don't need to be exact, but yeah, approximate is good. All right, so the first one I'm going to give you is our calcium chloride. One of the things that I really like doing with the groups that we have in is we'll give them the chemical name, and we'll talk about that. We'll have it written up on our board, but we don't write it on the bag. We use the chemical formula. Even though they might not have had experience with that before, we try to teach them about the formula while they're here so that they can identify it themselves. So I'm going to do this one easy. This is calcium chloride. And we're going to add your water that you put into there. When we do, then we're going to close this up, and I'm going to have you mix it from the outside by just kind of squeezing it. We're going to make some observations. And observations aren't always what we just do with our eyes, but it's any of our senses. So how does it feel? Does it have a sound? Anything else? You ready?
And the full 50 milliliters.
Full 50 milliliters.
All right.
Dump it in. Right. I'm going to close that off, hand that to you. While you're doing that, I'm going to get you another 50 milliliters. What observations are you making?
It's getting a lot warmer.
A lot warmer. Did you feel the water before you put it in? Touch the beaker and you can see what it was before.
Yeah, it's a very dramatic difference.
This is room temperature water at best. Maybe a little bit cooler. All right. Over on that one. So, all right. So that one you said got warmer. That's your observation, right?
Yep.
It's kind of
And it's a
cloudy.
little bit cloudy.
It's cloudy, yeah.
I can still see through it a little bit, but it's definitely cloudy.
All right. So that was calcium chloride. Now this one will be sodium bicarbonate. Nice big long name for that one. But it's something super simple, which I know you know what it is, which is
Baking soda.
Yeah.
All right.
And calcium chloride is found in, especially this time of year, in a lot of the salt that we put down on our sidewalks.
Now this one, it's cloudy, very similar to the last one in terms of how it looks. But this one's getting a lot colder.
Colder than it started.
Yeah, it's getting and much colder than the first one.
Yeah. And so when we're working with students, and this could be students in 3rd grade, 5th grade, or even into middle school, we're working too on using the vocabulary that we want. So we have one, your first one gave off heat, so that's exothermic, it puts heat out into the environment. The second one was endothermic, it sucked heat away from your hand. This one, potassium chloride.
All right, let's see what happens here.
Now I will let everyone in on something. None of them is going to explode. So,
All right.
to the great disappointment of the students who work with us. They always want, but in this class we do have a nice safe explosion that happens. We really end the program with a bang, literally. So,
I love that.
all right, how does that, what's your observation on that one?
So on this one, it's not as cloudy as the other ones.
Nope.
It's also getting colder.
Is it cold like this one was, or is it colder than that?
It's even colder.
It's even colder.
Yeah, it's even colder.
So potassium chloride also we can use.
Mhm.
All right, and this last one contains the first 2 things for that. So bag 1 and bag 2 combined, only half of each one.
Hmm.
Because one of the questions students always want to know is, what happens if I mix them together? So we safely give them that opportunity here.
Oh, look at that. So this one, not only is it cloudy, but I'm seeing a lot of bubbles.
And I don't remember seeing bubbles in any of you. 3.
No. And I'm going to say it seems to be giving off a gas.
Skipping off a gas. We can tell that both by seeing the bubbles, but also the sound. These bubbles are making, there's a fizzing, and
It's inflating.
it's inflating the bag. So one of the things we have to do with the students at a certain point is you have to vent that. Otherwise, it ruptures the seam, and it's not a problem for it to get on you, but it makes a huge mess. So we try to avoid that. Now, was this one warm?
This one's still colder than I think than it started, but it's not as cold as the last
The
one.
last one. So, but the first one got warm and the second one got cold. And when we mixed the two together, it still got cold.
Still got cold.
And that's part of, and in the class, we'll talk about that reaction and why that does what it does. Because what is happening here is this one is both exothermic and endothermic. There's a two-step reaction that's happening in here.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Good. I'm going to bend that so we don't forget about it. We'll just move it off to the side right here. And when in this class, one of the things, we can also take this up now. Gloves first, glasses last. One of the things on our education team that we decided when we sat and talked years ago was what do we really believe about the students that come in and the students of Milwaukee and the surrounding regions? And one of those main things is that we believe that every single one of them deserves a quality education and they can do whatever it is that we ask them to do. And so chemistry might be something that as a teacher you might say, oh, my students can't do that. But as adults, we so often kind of sell our students short. And maybe you don't have the resources in your classroom to do that, but we might have them here at Discovery World to help you. As you saw when we walk through the labs, we have sometimes lots of robots when your school might not have those robots. You might not have graduated cylinders and beakers, but come to us and we can help you out with that. And we have the whole list of all the programs that we offer on our recently redone website, easily found at discoveryworld.org/education/school-programs, which I believe we're going to put up as a link here, or call our reservations department.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I think you can always reach out to us. If you have questions, we're more than happy to talk through to figure out what's the best fit for your students.
I am always happy because we want to know what can we do to help. We are not trying to sit in silo here at Discovery World. Just think of us as an additional resource that can help you do what you're trying to do in your classroom. And so right now, you're coming up at the end of the year. I know it's March, beginning of March, but the end of the year is coming. But we still have space. If you want to try to get a field trip in, there is still some space. You can contact the reservations department for that. But also, you can start booking already for next year with our reservations team. There's no reason to wait or to start looking for those opportunities.
Yeah, I think anytime you can build that into what you're trying to do, Discovery World wants to be able to support you. So thanks so much for sharing all that information and for the great activity. You're right, I don't get enough time doing activities in the classroom anymore, so anytime I get to join you, I really appreciate that. Now, for anyone who's out there, we're willing to take any questions that you might have, and the best way to do that is to submit it at the bottom of your screen. We have our staff here that'll make sure that we have access to those questions. And it looks like we're starting to get our first one. So, so it sounds like this is related to some educators who might not be right here in our local area. If we're too far away for a field trip, do you have other educational resources?
That's a good one. I mean, that was a thing that 2 years ago wasn't a problem since everyone was at home and we were working on sending out virtual resources and kits to the schools. Some of that still continues here, but we also kept online everything that we had worked on during the pandemic, all sorts of activities, and every single one of those was designed to be done with supplies that you would have in your house for students to be able to do that at their household or to easily have in your classroom. We have things on weather, we have things on design, we have things on geometry. All sorts of topics are on there. It's called Discovery World at Home. That's a resource that we have. We also have link pages on there with all sorts of educational resources. If you aren't able to make it to us, we want to try to get some resources out to you.
Well, that sounds great. So definitely check out the website for those resources. And again, the idea that you could do those in your classroom, those might also be activities that you'd encourage teachers to have their students do at home with their families. So
Yeah.
there's a family out.
Take home thing for the weekend for an extra credit. Yeah.
All right, so our next question. My students are first graders. Do you have programming for younger ages?
That's another great one dealing with what we're working on right now. We do have some programming for that. A lot of things to deal with our aquarium, going down into like the K4, K5 range, but not as many programs as we do for elementary and middle school. However, that is something we're working on changing. We do have someone we brought on staff as an early elementary educator now, who is in the process of developing some stuff for next fall a whole series of classes that right now we're calling Elementary Explorers, and we'll be dealing with magnetism, light, color, sound, all sorts of topics that are addressed in those early elementary years, then get repeated 3 years later here in Wisconsin in the upper elementary and middle school. So that's going to be coming this fall. But we do have some resources here, most guided tours and all that, but we're going to make more.
And that's an area we've been focusing on all across the organization. And so over the upcoming years, we really look to expand those experiences, whether it's for the public, whether it's for our school audience. So early learners are going to be one of those key audiences.
Yeah, you're never too early for amazement.
That's right.
So
That's right. Let's keep the curiosity going.
yeah.
So, all right. I guess a similar question here. I'm a special education teacher. Can you make accommodations for my students' needs? So just like earlier, we were talking about trying to reach a younger audience. What might we do to be able to make sure we can accommodate the needs of any students?
I mean, the biggest thing is, as an educator, let us know. Let us know ahead of time. It breaks our heart when we have groups that come in and the teachers just didn't let us know what the needs were of their students so that we could have made accommodations ahead of time. We will make the reasonable accommodations that we can. We have groups that come in and a majority of them are wheelchair dependent, and we figure out how we can modify the placing of the tables and everything in the room to accommodate that, or groups that come in at different grade level abilities, and do we need to make a modification to the curriculum that we're talking about or the activity in order to make that work? So we will always try as much as possible to accommodate and to adjust what we're doing. We just need the time for that. So if you're making a reservation, that's the time to let them know and ask to talk to someone in the education department. We'll reach out to you and we will talk about what can happen.
And that's an example of that belief you were talking about, that every child deserves access to high quality education. All right, so our next question. Do you have programs I can share with my students to sign up for in the summer? Summer learning is a really hot topic, right?
Summer learning is huge.
Yep.
I have heard that we do offer programming during the summer. For anyone in the southeast Wisconsin area here, which is our summer camp program, if that's what we want to talk about, it's 11 weeks of
rumor has it we do some things during the summer.
We do things during the summer. So if you have students that are really into certain topics, I would invite you to just whether you're a parent or a teacher, check out on our website our summer camp offerings. There's 11 weeks of programming that we run in 9 to 10 rooms every week, and we rotate the topics. So we have over 60 different topics that are going on during the summer. And so there's something, if you're interested in photography or you know someone who is, we have something on that. If you're interested in fish, we have programs on that. Robotics, we have ways that you can kind of do some things over the summer. Or what we really love are the students who come and try something they've never tried before and realize that that's a passion that influences them and changes them going forward for what they do in school and what they do for careers.
So when it comes to our camps and summer learning opportunities, are there grade levels that are a particular focus, or is it really a broad spectrum?
We have going into first grade, second through third, fourth through fifth, and sixth through eighth. So if you're going into first through eighth grade, you can come and work with our camps. We have a scholarship program that exists that will help offset the cost for those who feel that maybe camp is just slightly out of reach for them. That is a resource that we have. I wish that we could run our programming that we do in the school year all summer long, but all of our education team is working hard on that stuff during the summer.
Yeah, and you mentioned the scholarship program. I think that's one of the things we're really committed to, is trying to reduce the barriers of participation. So whether that's camp scholarships, whether that's providing access or support for transportation if meal trips. Sometimes we know that the bus is the biggest reason you might not be able to come. Let us know and let's see what we can do. Because if there are financial needs, maybe we're in a position to do something.
That is something. It's not on our website yet, but we are actively working on finalizing some things for access for schools for next year for admission and transportation.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. So Well, it looks like that might be our last question right now. So if you have other questions beyond today, you can always email us. I'm happy to receive anything at president@discoveryworld.org with any other questions or information. You can also reach out. Our educators are always willing to talk and figure out what are the best programs and resources to fit your needs. If you're looking for more information about our programs, as Paul mentioned, best place to check out is our website. So go to discoveryworld.org, and through our new website, you can find all of the different education programs, a lot of different education resources that are available to you. Those are all the things on there that they can download. Those are all free. There's no cost. It's all
free,
publicly accessible. Any of the specific links that we talked about, we'll post those in the chat. And I want to thank you for your help today and all the work that you and your team do. You bring this place to life every day. You help us meet the mission. And I want to thank you for joining us and for all you do to serve your students in our community. So we can't wait to see you the next time you're down here at Discovery World. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great afternoon.